swine flu, drug wars, illegal immigration. Just a few of today's headlines that trace their origins to the other side of our southern border with Mexico. Despite efforts by Congress to protect the United States from such catastrophes, progress has been significantly less than that mandated by law, and the problems continue. Today I'd like to examine the progress that's been made towards fencing the southern border of the United States. We'll review the history behind the fence, the progress that's been made, and examine the effectiveness of the fencing which has been installed. First, let us look at the history of this undertaking. Initial efforts at fencing focused on only 18 miles of the nearly 1,600-mile border between the U.S. and Mexico, an area which had accounted for over half the apprehensions in 1992. These efforts quickly proved successful, and the smugglers shifted to unfenced areas. Despite the demonstrated effectiveness of these fences and the events of September 11, 2001, 5 years would elapse before lawmakers were able to craft legislation to require the widespread application of fencing along our southern border. The Secure Fence Act of 2006, which became law on October 26 of that same year, mandated 700 miles of the fence be built by December of 2008. Progress on the project seemed to be on track when on December 30, 2008, CNN reporter Casey Wyan pointed to U.S. Customs and Border Protection officials' claims that 90% of the mandated fence had been completed and that the remainder would be completed by January of 2009. Actual figures, however, appear to have been quite a bit lower than those released by the government. Research conducted by watchdog groups such as the American Border Patrol revealed that the U.S. Border Patrol had constructed only 202 miles while claiming to have constructed 500 miles of new fencing. The organization also points out that the double-layer reinforced fencing mandated by the Act is far different than that of the existing fences that appear to have been factored into the U.S. Customs and Border Patrol figures. Despite differing on the amount of fencing which has actually been constructed, both the groups' data bear out the fact that where proper fencing is built, apprehensions show a marked decrease. For example, in the Yuma sector, where the installation of fencing increased from 25 miles in 2006 to 51.3 miles by the end of 2008, apprehensions fell from 3,359 to only 372, a decrease of 89%. So having looked at the history of the fencing of our southern border and examining the progress that's been made, we can see there's a direct relationship between the proper fencing and sharp declines in apprehensions of illegal aliens and smugglers on the southern U.S. border. In conclusion, and given these facts, it seems our headlines would be drastically different if the implementation of the Secure Fence Act of 2006 had been completed on schedule.